This is the Final Word Daily. It's England, it's Australia, it's the ODI series. We did not make one of these about the first game in the ODI series. It just didn't happen. I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
Geoff Lemon, Cameron Ponsonby. The show's brought to you by Westfield, London, Westfield, Stratford City. As always, yeah, look, there were things to do. There was too much work to do. There was a train to catch. It was supposed to happen. It didn't happen. And all I can say, maybe I'll mention the first ODI, but today we're going to start by talking about the second ODI. It happened at Leeds. Please tell me about it, Cameron, in 30 seconds.
Australia have their 14th ODI win in a row. England have 4 wins out of their last 10. Surprise, surprise, Australia beat England by about 70 runs. It looked like England were going to have a very fine day when they had Australia about 220 for 9. Then Alex Carey played a match-defining innings of 74, added 50 for the last wicket of Josh Hazlewood, and from that point on, Australia just won. Josh Hazlewood and Mitchell Starc back into the team. Hey, they're good at bowling. They nipped off England's top order. England all those found themselves behind. Jacob Bethel and Jamie Smith, they're really good at cricket, but they weren't good enough today. And eventually, Australia sealed out a 70-run win.
Second game in a row, basically, where England were bossing it after 30 overs, maybe 35 overs, and then somehow spectacularly shat the bed. The first game they were batting first, flogging it everywhere, should have made 380, somehow subsided to just over 300, and Travis Head chased them mostly by himself. This time around, they were all over Australia early. They got Travis Head out for 29. He flicked one out to deep backward square leg and got caught. Fine. Matt Short nicks one off Potts. It's a good catch. Fine. These things happen. Mitchell Marsh is bashing them. He likes doing that at Leeds. If you're watching the video, you can see Leeds out the window behind us. The lovely city of Leeds, which turned on the weather despite everybody complaining about the fact that it was September and you couldn't play cricket in September. Might come back to that in the Hall of Fame. But Smith is out quickly. He gets bowled by Potts with a good one. Labuschagne's there for a while, and then he miscues off Bethel trying to hit the left arm spinner, the youngster who's come in. He's out for 19. And then Maxwell comes in, hits a 6 first ball, gets out 4 balls later, trying to hit another 6. He's out for 7. They've lost 3 in 3 overs. They're 6 for 161 at the point that Maxwell got out, and they're in strife. They're in a lot of strife. They should not have made anywhere near what they made from that point, basically.
Yeah, but in terms of Australia, there was always, I think England, the way ODI cricket's played now, and especially people bat with the tail, I'm never actually that surprised when like the 10th wicket partnership happens, because you realise that players are good enough to manipulate the strike, as Carey did. They're also good enough to hit boundaries, so you're kind of like, I don't think England necessarily did anything wrong in that final passage of play. I checked in with a friend of the show, Ben Jones at CricViz. I was like, are England particularly bad at closing out ODI innings? And he gave me my favourite answer. He was basically like, they're neither good nor bad. I was like, perfect.
Yep.
That means we can just carry on with our lives and not...
Also, they probably haven't played one this year.
Exactly. Very good point as well. Very, very good point. And also, I had a theory where I was like, I reckon because of the modern player, 10th wicket ODI partnerships are now higher than they used to be. False. 2024 is like one of the lowest 10th wicket partnerships years on record. But...
Is that only because of which teams actually still play ODI?
Geoff, I don't want to think about it. I just like the idea that the number is there, and it was counterintuitive to what my initial thought process was.
Like in the era of Rodney Hogg, people were putting on more for the 10th wicket than now.
Exactly, because they had a wider range of shots, the bowlers were faster, the bats were bigger way back then. So, do you reckon
the bowlers were fast?
The bowlers were fast. I promise you it was true. My basic premise coming out all of this is that England need this. I think England need to blow it up. I think they need to fail. I think they need to fail spectacularly. And then they will have the reset that kind of happened after 2015. I think the worst case scenario for England would have been if they'd come into this series with the kind of like, we'll be all right attitude, and it was absolutely fine. I think then these bilateral series where every game we rock up, we say, is there meaning to this, would have continued to have that question. We're like, does it really matter if the players keep on saying, just do it, it doesn't matter, it's fine, we're going to chill out, and then they have some form of success. Actually, in this little period where England have had such a poor year, they have a reset coming with the new coach and the return of Jos Buttler. I think it's better for the game. I'm kind of kidding myself into this. I think it's better for England and more fun for England fans if it all just goes a bit tits up for the next 3 months, and then we start again, start from scratch, and we have some meaning and context to building back together. Failure breeds success.
Okay, but if you're starting from scratch, wouldn't starting from scratch involve, say, Jacob Bethel and Bryden Cass and these players who have not been part of things, who are being brought brought in to try to be part of things into the future.
Yes, but they're starting again with the substitute teacher. They're kind of waiting. These guys are not necessarily going to be Brendan McCullum's first choice. I was reading back at pieces like I wrote during the West Indies White Ball series last year, which was the first one after the White Ball World Cup. And even then it was like outside, it was a kind of a case of this is going to be a White Ball reset. And actually inside the camp, they didn't really agree with that. They're like, well, no, we've just got like Joe Root and Johnny Bairstow and all these people at home. Now it's much closer to the truth because there is a genuine regeneration of players. You have seen Moeen Ali retire. You have seen Jacob Bethel come in and potentially kind of replace him in that kind of second spinner, lower order hitter role. We're just kind of waiting for the actual leaders of this programme to take charge. You don't have Joss Butler here. You don't have Brendan McCullum here. The way I was kind of thinking about it is England have decided that they must start a new diet and change their lives, but they'll start next week, basically. And we're kind of waiting for that change to actually happen. Because currently...
This is the interim government.
This is the interim government. We're kind of just padding out until we have a new legislative and executive branch.
Yeah. Which, and for Australia, this is not the interim government because they had 3 omissions. They left out Sean Abbott, Cameron Green and Ben Dwarshuis, who was injured. They brought in Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood and Glenn Maxwell, which is a pretty handy trio to bring in, multiple World Cup winners, vast experience. Starc, we were working out his stats of wickets per innings in one-day cricket. I think he's the 4th highest all time. To have done that, he takes almost 2 wickets every game, every innings that he's bowled in, which is absurd. Most good players are closer to 1 wicket per innings. He's 1.93 or something like that, and would have gone up a little bit today with 3 for 50. Like, that is a ridiculous flex to be able to bring those players in for game 2, having already won game 1 in encounter.
I mean this in an isolated Australia point, but I can't help but to compare them to England at this moment in time. And I was reading a piece that was on Cricinfo, an interview with Adam Zampa, and he was basically talking about how, winning the 100 of the Oval Invincibles is great, but and he used this phrase, I hate this phrase so much, but he was like, playing for your country just hits different. He played his 100th ODI, and just the kind of contrast between kind of the messaging that comes out of not just England, but the modern day player of where matches don't matter and trying to find meaning in this kind of hyperinflation period of the sport where there just seems to be a match every single day that is in a different league. To see Australia winning 14 on the bounce, winning World Cups, having someone like Adam Zampa, who probably a couple of years ago was the person criticised to an extent of being the guy who didn't care enough and wasn't Australian enough and wasn't bleeding for the shirt enough, to be like, actually,
why aren't you singing the fucking song?
Exactly. Why aren't you singing the song?
Because it's a shit song. That's why. It's an embarrassing song. Get us a better song. Make it Flame Trees, and we'll sing it. Fine. Just make the national anthem Flame Trees. Let's all get behind something. Make it You're the Voice. Get behind something we can all agree on.
I feel like Adam Zampa and Lee Carsley would be really good mates. If Adam Zampa took over the English football team, change the national anthem. But no, basically the point is Australia were able to fall back and bring in these kind of genuine greats of the format. And when you compare that to the kind of interim government stage of England where you're having Matty Potts, Bryden Carse, you're like, if I'm choosing between Potts and Carse or Starc and Hazlewood, I know where I'm going.
Well, Bryden Carse, speaking of 3 for 75, picked up a couple, but got absolutely tonked. Every time he dropped short, Mitchell Marsh was just going, pull shot into the stands. I'm Western Australian. I made 100 a year ago. Hit so cleanly through the line, down the ground. He's eventually LBW to Bethel as well, so a good pair for Bethel, Labuschagne and Marsh to pick up. And Aaron Hardy's contribution significant, I thought. So there are 2 partnerships that Alex Carey builds when they're in trouble. And so he puts on, just after Maxwell gets out, he puts on 55 with Hardy, who ends up making 23 and bats really well until he tries to pull one and hits one up in the air off Carse and gives him one of those wickets. And then there's another quick rattle because Stark's out first ball. Zampa makes 3. And then Carey puts on 49 with Josh Hazlewood. And this partnership I thought was so well controlled by Carey because he was looking at it, he's like, we have so much time left, right? It's the 37th over and we've got 220. So I imagine the thinking was, let's try to get 250, let's just bat. we don't need to score quickly. We'll just bat the whole 13 overs if we can, and we'll just see what we can make. And so he was refusing singles all over the place. Everyone was getting annoyed on commentary. Why are they turning down runs? Well, they're turning down runs because he turns down the runs for like 4 balls, and then he gets one he likes and he hits it over long on for 6. And then he hits another one over cover. And then he has a really nice sweep shot and nails it for 4. So he was picking up a boundary, a 4 or a 6 here or there. He was giving Hazlewood 1 or 2 balls to face, to switch at the end of an over if need be. Hazlewood was doing his job just fine. He played one very nice shot, lofted square drive for 4 when I think it was the end of the over and he had time to do it. He stuck it out, stuck it around. He ended up 4 not out. And they put on 49. And I just thought for Carey especially coming back, hasn't played in almost a year, got dropped in after Chennai in the World Cup last year, comes back 74 not out, gets them to 270, which is a score they can reasonably defend. Such a good innings in his first hit. He played in the Trent Bridge game but didn't bat.
Yeah, I've got a question.
Okay.
Did Australia want him to score these runs? Because I feel like it kind of reopens another problem for them because they want Inglis as their guy. Carey's then come back again. We mentioned all the time how many matches there are. Carey hasn't had a hit in professional cricket since his 98 not out in Christchurch like 6 months ago. So he's literally 2 consecutive innings for Australia have both been match winning. He's come back in. I was chatting to a colleague downstairs and he was explaining that actually Australia, what they really want is they want Josh Inglis to open the batting. Because if Josh Inglis can open the batting, then you can play Cam Green, you can give yourself more options in the middle order. So what Carey's doing, he's basically playing the David Milan role of scoring left-handed runs in ODI cricket when he wasn't meant to. Because it's not the team they want to pick. That's my hypothesis
He's
anyway.
just getting in the way, basically. They're like, stop being so good. Well, he is still the first choice test keeper, so they want him there. He made the 98 not out in Christchurch and won them a game, which they shouldn't have won. Batting with the tail, he ended up doing that again here by getting them enough. And it started off, I thought it was all about the openers versus the openers. I thought if Salt and Duckett can do the thing they often do and say crash 60 or 80 or something quickly in that opening partnership, take down Stark and Hazlewood, then England win this game. And if not, they don't. And for about 2 overs, it looked like that might be the go. They were picking up runs. Duckett even hit a 6, which is unusual. I sort of accidentally played a pull shot and it ended up flying away. Well, yeah, but it was a little top edgy, wasn't it?
No, I was literally about to wax lyrical about that. I'm ready to go.
Sure, go. Tell me.
So I thought the opening exchange, there was a moment which highlighted Josh Hazlewood versus Phil Salt.
Yeah.
Made me realise how good Josh Hazlewood is. And then Josh Hazlewood versus Ben Duckett made me realise how good Ben Duckett is. Okay. Because Hazlewood made Salt look quite silly. He basically just kept making him miss it. And you have Salt playing this uber aggressive manner where he can go over both the offside and the leg side. Yeah. He kept on missing it. He nicked one to second slip, drops.
It was such a setup as well. Yeah. Like that whole over, because everything was at a length that he couldn't hit, he couldn't whack it, and he was just trying to punch sort of on the up, and he kept missing it. He edged 1 for 4. He edged the one that was dropped. He missed 3 others, and then he edged the one that got caught.
And so you were just like, well done, Josh Hazlewood is better than you. Yeah. Like that was very clear. It was a display of dominance. Yeah. And so Hazlewood's bowled his first 2 overs. He's got 2 overs, 1 for 7 are his figures. Duckett's on strike. They're 2 down, England. I think they're 28 for 2 at this point. So like, you're very close to getting yourselves into a lot of trouble. And Duckett has basically gone like, well, it's Josh Hazlewood. He's one of the most accurate bowlers in the world. I know where he's going to bowl. And so he's brought out the ramp shot immediately, 1 bounce 4. And then as soon as that's happened, he's gone like, right, I've ramped, so I reckon this is going to be shorter because he's like, I don't want to be too full anymore because if he's going to ramp me. Drops that a little bit shorter, pulls it, I think, very convincingly for 6. Geoff thinks it's a little top edgy, but like, hey.
I just don't know if he was trying to hit a 6 or
That's
if he was trying to hit a 4.
Makes it even better. Imagine accidentally hitting a 6. Imagine being
KL Rahul in Chennai accidentally hit a 6. Remember when he was trying to get to 100? He wanted to get a 4, so he'd level the scores and then he could hit 6 to get his ton.
Just great players.
Yeah.
But I love watching Ben Duckett bat, and I love watching kind of that early exchange between Aussies, openers, and England's, well, Ben Duckett on this occasion, was such high quality. And it was actually really nice when I arrived, and you're kind of so used to like scanning down the team sheet, you go, oh, Joffrey's not playing, that's a shame, I'd like to watch him play. And like you're always threatened to potentially get a bit of, what's the word? Just oversaturated, a bit kind of weary of cricket when you watch it every day. But arriving at the ground today and going, mate, I cannot wait to watch Zampa, Stark, Hazlewood, Glenn Maxwell's batting, Mitchell Marsh, all these guys. I was like, it's a blockbuster Aussie team, and it was a really good fun. I enjoyed it.
It was good fun. I mean, the over to Salt that sorts him out, that was good. He's out for 12. Then Will Jacks gets out first ball, edges Stark. You know, that's
quite fun.
Tends to happen sometimes. Stark was all over the place in his first over. Even Hazelwood had an over where he was struggling. He bowled a no ball, and then he kept bowling wides on the free hit. And the free hit got hit for 4, and the over still only went for 7, which tells you a little bit about how good Josh Hazelwood is. So there's the first baller there. Harry Brook gets out LBW Stark, and then another round of 2 in 2 when Duckett is caught and bowled by Hardy, hits one up in the air. And then there's a first baller for Liam Livingstone as well, caught behind off Hardy. So important for Aaron Hardy, made important runs and chipped in with that 2 in 2. That basically at that point, I mean, they're 5 down for 65. And yeah, they've made 65 in the power play, but they're 5 down in the power play. And that's it. That's pretty much the game.
It was. I was tuning in some very fine Test match special coverage that Geoff Lemon was part of. And there was that moment Alex Hartley was like, it's only 9.5 overs being bowled. Like, what is going on? Like, so much cricket had happened, and you kind of like, well, England are 5 down, and they faced about 57 deliveries, and the game at that point did. Basically, at that point, I was thinking, right, Australia have won, and so there's either a story there of like England fall to another defeat. I was like, or Jacob Bethell or Jamie Smith are going to score like a career-defining century, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. And they did both threaten to do it for a little while. Jamie Smith has won me over. I never doubted his qualities, but I did get a bit confused when people would be like, oh, he's such a beautiful player to watch. Because I found his like setup quite robotic and quite strange. But if you ignore that bit and you ignore the kind of like bowling machine trigger, as soon as the ball's released, he's so fluid, he's so beautiful. And he's played these 2 drives to kind of get himself going. One was like back foot, through cover, and you go like, Jesus Christ, you're a good player. And then he played with like the perfect on drive, and you're there just kind of watching someone, and you know that you're watching them at the beginning of. You basically got 15 years. Imagine, I feel like when watching Jamie Smith is like when you start a box set and you really enjoy it, but it's already been out for 10 years and you've got 10 series to go to. You're like, I know there's so much of this guy to enjoy, and I cannot wait to be there for it.
Yeah, like The Sopranos was that for me. Probably 3 years ago, I started watching it, and you know, it was worth it. Everybody was right. So Bethell made 25 in the end, and then Bryden Carse and Jamie Smith bat together for quite a while. Basically, Bryden Carse gets Jamie Smith out because Smith is batting quite nicely. Carse, at one point, the partnership had been 52 balls. Carse had faced 40 of them. Smith just couldn't get on strike. There kept being a single off the last ball, or he'd get to face 1 ball at the end of an over. He couldn't get in there, he couldn't get comfortable, and then when he finally did get a bit of strike, he played a couple of weird sort of wallops and eventually hits one up in the air that the subfielder takes off. Hazelwood, Bryden Carse bats with Adil Rashid for a while. They put on a few. Carse plays a horrible shot. When players play the slog sweep and they try to fetch a ball from a metre outside off stump and hit it leg side, it's like, how often does that actually work? Very, very rarely. Hit it through cover. Hit it over cover if you can, but like you're trying to drag that ball back. The angles are all wrong. Anyway, up it goes, and whatever. It got closed out after that. Bowled out for 202. People will be super mad. Mitchell Stark 3 for 50, Hazelwood 2 for 54, Hardy 2 for 26, Maxwell 2 for 15, Zampa 1 for 42. That was the way things wrapped up. Let's go to the Hall of Fame. It is the Final Word Hall of Fame. It's brought to you by Westfield, London, and Westfield, Stratford City. And I discovered while doing the weekly show that Daniel Norcross is a big fan of both roller skating and Taylor Swift. And I imagine that you are too.
Always, naturally. I love both those things with equal measure.
Well, you will be pleased to know then, Cameron Ponsonby, that you can skate it off at Flipper's Roller Boogie Palace at Westfield, London, to celebrate the beginning of the Salt era in English white ball cricket. You can skate with Flipper's Swifty Skate Sundays. Every Sunday, you can book a session, get around on your skates, on their 80s inspired roller rink. You weren't even alive in the 80s.
I wasn't, that's true.
And you can imagine you were alive in the 80s. You can roller skate to the music of Taylor Swift while eating themed food, drinking themed cocktails, or if that is your choice, mocktails. And you can watch on. If you can't skate, you can enjoy the vibe. Cheer on your friends. Tickets are going swiftly.
Are they now?
Book them.
Since when was Taylor Swift an 80s?
1989, mate.
Okay. I think she wasn't.
1989.
Okay, sorry.
She was born in 1989.
Pedantry of
That's
me.
why her album is called 1989.
Okay.
The album that boosted her from reasonably famous to superstardom.
And obviously the people who remember the music of the 80s resonate with Taylor Swift a lot. But it's fine, I'm nitpicking.
Yes.
I'm being a pedant.
Yes. They do. Or they were people who were born in the 80s and have an idea of it that's idealised because they don't actually remember it because they were busy vomiting on themselves, like me. So that is the thing. Westfield, London, Westfield, Stratford City, more extra, less ordinary. Hall of Fame, I liked Glenn Maxwell bowling to Jacob Bethel because they're good buds from Warwickshire. Yeah. Where they played together when Maxwell was there last year. Maxwell sort of took on Bethel as a project player, did a bunch of coaching with him, and has been talking him up big time before Bethel got in the England team, saying he's going to be the next big thing, and then was so happy when he got him out. He could, like, do you need friends like that if you're Jacob Bethel? You know, bowls it down there, draws the false shot, and then just the grin on Maxwell's face as he's like, well, there you go, young fella, it's not going to be that easy.
That's also quite sweet from Maxwell's point of view because, like, if he thinks Bethel's as good as is as good as he might be or whatever, he can then say in 10 years' time, he's like, got him out.
Got him out. I think he sees a bit of himself aside from the hair, one very dark, one very light. Maybe they're a negative image version of one another. Hall of Fame, anything for you?
Quick two for one, Mitchell Marsh hitting a massive six over square leg, and it clipped the top of the scoreboard, the big screen, as it went out of the ground. And I think I don't find any time someone hits the ball out of a stadium immensely exciting. It's just a dream that I can only dream of.
You used to have to do that to get 5 in cricket.
Or if Kevin Peterson was in charge, 12. That'd be crazy. Quickly, the way that they do the measurements, if anyone ever thinks this is a good idea for a rule, if it's 100 metres, it should be a 12. Basically, people have measurement set points on the ground, and they go, we know that's 75 metres, we know that's 80, we know that's 85, and the ball just lands somewhere near it, and they guess. I promise that's how they work it. So if you want matches to go down to the fingers of some hungover lads in a truck somewhere, I've said too much. I love them dearly. don't. Probably shouldn't say. Anyway.
Isn't that how they do the javelin at the Olympics?
I should be, yeah.
It's probably about 82.
That's 82. Yeah. Have a gold medal. So, stupid rule. And number 2, another stupid thing that happened, a fan in the crowd was pissed and was trying to was getting chucked out. He ran away from security, and rather than getting chucked out for being pissed, he then tried to hop onto the pitch, and so now he's probably facing a bit more of a lifetime ban situation. That was dumb.
Okay, my Hall of Fame is just the number of people, and this is mostly an online thing, particularly replying to the BBC account saying, oh, this is garbage, A, this cricket doesn't matter, it sucks, it's unimportant, B, why are they playing it in September, it's going to get rained off. It was a gorgeous day in Leeds today, nothing got rained off, the sun was out for most of the afternoon, it was very pleasant. Why do they play cricket in September? They've always played cricket in September. The fact that somebody can say, I am a person who knows a lot about cricket, and my question is, why are they playing it in September? They have always played it in September. Look, read things, history. Like, I'm an expert in cricket, but I've never watched it before this year, seems to be the consistent theme. And also just how mad the same sort of people are at Harry Brook for saying it doesn't matter if you get out, while also saying that this is bullshit cricket that doesn't count.
Yeah, I think that's because Harry Brook's breaking the unwritten rule that players, we all know this doesn't matter, but players aren't meant to say it. Players are kind of said the unsayable, where it's like, we need you to pretend it matters, and then we can realise
They definitely said it after that T20 World Cup in Australia when they played the series against England. 3 days later, all of the players
that was a
very
very
much
special
said,
occasion.
this is bullshit.
All I want to say on the September thing is I've always remembered and known and been confused why people are confused that cricket's been played in September. Because 2005 Ashes, Oval, the most famous series of all time, finished in September. Did get
with
rain,
bad
but,
light.
But the reason I remember that is because I wouldn't have been able to skive off school till the last day if it had been in August. So what a special time that was for me.
Yeah, 2019 Ashes finished halfway through September as well. I think it was September, like 16th or something.
Every time I talk to Adam, he says that cricket's been played in October. Yeah. So there we go.
He's mad. He's mad. Bad and dangerous to know. All right, that's it from us. It's been the Final Word Daily. Thanks to Westfield London, Westfield Stratford City. Thanks to Cam Ponsonby. I'm Geoff Lemon. Patreon.com/thefinalword to support the show. We'll see you for Game 3.